Kevin McCullough.
Square, Kevin McCullough. We are counting down the days, and I will be with you on election night. They've given me the very advantageous hours of 3 to 5 a.m. on the East Coast to anchor, but we will. Who knows? I mean, some of those states coming down the stretch, we might be getting returns and actually solidifying the results from the night. I kind of hope and wish that it's over a lot earlier, but we'll wait and see. But you can check me out on Salem News Channel. Election night, we'll be providing that coverage. Mary Jo Ginchard is back with me. She's running for the 5th Congressional District in New Jersey, a now multi-term seat held by Democrat Josh Geitheimer, and before that, a long-term Republican seat held by Scott Garrett. And Mary Jo's trying to reverse that trend. Mary Jo, I was in your district this week, and I stopped in at one of the eateries that is well known there in your hometown even. And I was talking to voters about, what their anticipation is for this election. And a lady by the name of Dawn told me her story that Gottheimer had denied her son a referral, and she's in his district, a referral for West Point for application. And one of the things that really helps you get accepted at West Point, and it's very, very advantageous, is to have your congressional member write that recommendation for you. I asked her what she thought it was. She was kind of, we don't really know. He had good grades. He didn't have perfect grades. The excuse that the Gottheimer office gave them is that he didn't have a 4.0, but I think it was 3.8 or something. I mean, smart kid. And when many of our military are now being recruited from post-drug rehab programs and other things, it's kind of disingenuous to say that a kid that's really buckled down and doing a good job wouldn't make a good West Point cadet. So I did a little investigation, and you and I have spoken off air before. This is kind of a trend. Turned out the lady's voter registration was Republican, and she feels like that may be the reason why her son was denied a referral letter from his congressman. What do you make of that?
I think it's an absolute tragedy that he did not write that recommendation letter. Let West Point decide if his grades are high enough, right? If he has excellent grades and he's an outstanding student and he wants to fight for our country and he's a patriot, why would you not write that recommendation?
And this is a pattern that is showing up in your district. This has happened with other
yes
that happened.
This is not the first time.
Republicans.
This is not the first time I've heard this story. I heard it in another county from a mom whose son was actually an Eagle Scout and wanted to go to West Point.
Yeah, there's no military material in that kid.
Right. And that was denied to write that student's recommendation.
So at the end of the day, congressional members are necessary because they are the closest to the voters. The senators serve longer and they're a little bit more removed. They really represent the interest of the state as a whole, not just one district. But congressmen have always been, it's been the House of the people. It seems to me that a congressional member has a deep obligation to be in and amongst the people. You've talked about how you don't want to have a big desk, that instead you want to have a big conference room.
Yes.
In Washington, D.C. What is the theory behind that?
The theory behind that is that everyone deserves to have a seat at my table and have that conversation. This is not an easy job, as we all know. You've got to roll up your sleeves and get the work done. And unfortunately, CD5 right now deserves better. We have a congressman, and my opponent, who is actually doing a ghost campaign for governor. That's where he wants to go. And he will be declaring days after this election is over in November. It is written all in the different forms of social media that has been released. They've actually called it a ghost campaign now. He is getting endorsements for his gubernatorial race from mayors and from state senate and as well from unions. That is absolutely not acceptable to your constituents. I am committed. I am in for the long term here. That's why I want this bigger conference room, as I call it. So anyone is welcome to come. I don't want to leave one stone unturned.
Meaning if a Democrat from your district shows up in D.C. and says, I want to speak to the Congress lady, you're going to have a place for them to sit there and chat with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been speaking with those constituents already, Kevin, already. And they know I'm in this, I'm in it to win it. I am a problem solver. I am a solution maker. And I am not going to just have only one side. I'm taking that political hat off, and everyone is welcome at my table. That's how you come up with the best solutions, Kevin, is that everyone is welcome and you are willing to listen and go through everything together.
Yeah. More listening out of Washington, D.C., particularly Congress. Wouldn't that be a novel idea? MaryJoForCongress.com.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.